them titties, baby. Suck them titties, baby. I'm home. Suck them titties on the west side. Suck them titties on the breast side. Best titties I ever had. Oh, let me suck them titties right now. Looking like a town girl. Suck one, maybe two. Game Boy gone. Yeah. Let me suck them titties, baby. Suck them titties, baby. All right,
on the low, that's a bop. It's hilarious.
All right, here we go. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host
Karen,
and we are live on a Sunday night ready to do some podcasting. Find us everywhere that you get podcasts. Leave us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, which you can now go to on the web. You can log in, create a login, whatever, through the web.
Yep, so you ain't even got to be in the Apple universe.
You don't need an iPhone.
Y'all ain't got no excuses now.
Mac, you don't need an iPad. There's no excuse. You can go leave that 5-star review. Y'all did so great last week.
Yes, y'all
left us so many.
Thank you.
It was so nice.
So much. Y'all made my day.
The official weapon of the show is
phone chair.
And the unofficial sport,
bullet ball.
And bullet ball extreme. All right, let's get into it. Karen, you have any banter?
I do.
Do you have any banter? Talk to me. Do you have any banter? Talk to me. Do you have any banter? Do you have any banter?
I do.
Talk to me. Banter. Talk to me. Do you have any banter?
I do.
Banter. All right, Karen, banter us away.
It's hilarious, y'all. We got a leaf on Roderick's windshield wiper. That motherfucker been hanging on there for I don't know how long.
I took it off.
Okay, you took it off. Yeah. Okay, how about that nigga on child support or what? Cause he's like, I am not leaving this windshield. That nigga done been through the car wash. He done been through the fire. He's like, I refuse to let go of this windshield wiper. He was on that bitch forever.
Yeah, it was hanging on for dear life. It didn't matter how fast I went, reverse, anything. But yeah, I just pulled it out the other day. I was just getting tired of it.
Okay.
It was making a flapping sound when I drove.
Okay. It was like, I would not give up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you keep going. I don't. Do I have anything? Oh, it's amazing how much more misinformation there is on Twitter since Elon Musk took over. I know that's the point, even though he didn't say that was the point. But yeah, that's the point, and it's so bad now. Anytime I retweet anything, I feel like I'm throwing a Hail Mary. Like, I hope this is true, or I hope and half the time when I retweet stuff now, I caption it with, "Hey, is this real? Did this happen?"
Yeah, that was the whole point.
It was so bad. Today I saw Patrick Beverley got cut from this team and like overseas, and I was like, did this happen? And then I went and Googled it, and one of the articles that came up, not the first one in Google, because Google's also trash.
Yes.
Like the fifth one down was like, exploring the viral tweet about Patrick Beverley getting cut. And you read the article, it's like he did not get cut. And the person never took it down. I looked in the comments. There are plenty of people correcting them. They leave it up on purpose.
Yes.
If you have the blue check mark, you can actually get paid. You can hide your blue check mark, but you can get paid off of viral tweets. It's not much money, I don't think. It started out being a lot to fool people, but now it's nothing. But the point being, like, that is the purpose of the chaos that Elon Musk has wrought over there. And it just sucks not being able to know what is and isn't true, because Twitter before, especially with the check marks being about verification of people's identities, and trying to highlight people who were like journalists and stuff like that, it's sad that we now have gotten to this place where it's what people used to be upset about when they were jealous of people with blue checks, and they would lie on them and be like, see, this is just about trying to go viral. You just got a blue check because you paid for it. And it was always a lie because you couldn't do those things back then.
No, you couldn't.
But Elon Musk took over and made it so you could. And this is demonstrably much worse than what we had before.
Yeah, and in my personal opinion, it's the whole point. He is similar to kind of when big companies buy smaller companies. They buy them and then they purposely come in and just fuck it up on purpose almost.
So I don't think that applies in this case, because that's what happens with venture capital and stuff. They go buy Red Lobster, they fuck up Red Lobster, they try to they close on Red Lobster, try to bankrupt it and sell off all the assets. Elon Musk is a fucking idiot, and he just fucked up Twitter. This is stuff he thought would work. None of this shit that he did is like, I'm gonna make it chaos.
And people didn't ask
he was
for
just
this.
trying to get money. Like, I'll make people pay for blue checks, because these niggas are so fucking jealous of people having blue checks. They don't understand the purpose of it is not just, it's not supposed to be about elitism.
Right.
Even if in practice that's what people took away from it, that was not the process. And the point being, like, those people being jealous, some of them did erode what it meant, that it wasn't about verification anymore, and that the people that were jealous were willing to pay. Some of them, not all of them, not enough. But, this is what he created this site to be, by platforming people that lie and give misinformation, that threaten people, that harass people, neo-Nazis, stuff like that were being censored before. Even if they were reluctantly censored by Jack, they were being censored. Now they are not, which leads to more misinformation. Republicans complain, hey, our freedom of speech is being silenced on social media. But it's like, no, we are not spreading false information on our social media. If you traffic in false information, that's not a political point of view. It's a fact or it's not point of view. Elon Musk erased that. So I wouldn't even give him the credit of like, oh, this is a scheme of like how to strip the money out of Twitter. Yeah. He fucked Twitter the fuck up.
Yes. Because he just thought this shit was gonna work, and multiple people have told him before, even companies that he had worked with before, like the X and shit, they was like, we're not doing that, and they just never did, and it was like the best decision. But when he doesn't have anybody to be accountable to, a board or people that can kind of fight against him, he just was throwing all them fuck ass ideas that he probably have thrown at other places where they were like, we're not doing that bullshit.
Yeah, he lost sponsors.
Yes.
Like, that couldn't be part of the plan. He's just terrible at managing shit.
Yes, and that was the thing. He did this shit, and you had a lot of people that left, and a lot of companies that was like, oh, why would we do and support this shit and things like this, and you fire everybody. So now all the checks and balances that you had in there before aren't there anymore. So why would I pay? Because I was actually paying for not the blue check mark, but where you could edit your account or something like that.
Yeah.
And it might not have been a lot of people, but you had a handful of people that was like, no, I don't want a blue check mark, but I just want, a few extra features. And so basically it was like, no, you can't get that anymore. And
you can get it.
Okay, but I'm not paying
for it.
Triple the price.
You have to pay more, and it comes with a check mark.
Right.
So he just took the things, but the thing, just like a lot of people do, it's like what happens with podcasting too. People overestimate what people want and how many people will sign up for it, and then they end up horribly disappointed or failing because the math doesn't math. But a lot of times you have to look at stuff and be like, probably 1% of people want this, probably 1%. Less than 1%. But I'm sure that Elon Musk and his math is like, everyone's going to want this. And then when it fails and you got to fire everybody and shit, and we're laughing at you, he still can't admit failure. So at any rate, that was more mine.
Agreed. Oh, last night we got to meet Shalewa.
Yeah.
And we had
You got to meet Shalewa for the first time.
I got to meet Shalewa for the first time. And I was very happy and very excited to meet her. She's
Shalewa
so
Sharp,
sweet.
Co-host of the War Report podcast with Gastor Almonte. We had them on the show. We had them on the show last week. And she just mentioned offhandedly that she was going to be doing some gigs in like Atlanta and Charlotte. And I was like, oh, we live in Charlotte. And this is not necessarily our vibe or kind of thing that we would do. If it wasn't for Shalewa, we probably would not done this.
Right.
But she was at a venue called Snug Harbor. There was like a 3 bands performing, and then she was like going up and doing comedy before the headliner and last band. And so it wasn't necessarily a venue built for comedy. It was almost like a real eclectic vibe in there. I feel like that the vibe in the Snug Harbor on Saturday night felt like if live action Steven Universe is how it felt to me.
Yes, it did, didn't it?
It felt like that town was come to life.
Yeah,
that's how it felt to me, and I mean it in the best way.
Yes,
like everybody in there was a bit of a weirdo in the not GOP way, in the traditional like lovable weirdo way. There was, I felt like everybody had their own like style and stuff, and I was doing a lot of people watching. And talking to Shalewa and all that stuff. It was a cool night.
It really was. I had a great time, and we was on like the other side of town from us, and they did a lot of gentrification, a lot of buying up of the old buildings, tearing the old buildings down. So this is like one of the few places that is actually still there for years, because a lot of places around it are gone.
Well, overall Central is interesting because that strip is pretty much all still the old original buildings, everything in that area. But because of that, there's just nowhere to park. It's like hard as fuck to find somewhere to park, and there's signs like "We will tow your ass" everywhere. And I just like, it took us 15 minutes to park. I'm glad I got there early because it was literally like, I don't know, dog. Like I see a space between these 2 cars, but all that really means is they gonna tow that car first and then get to mine, or does it mean that that's a safe place to park?
I was like, wherever I go, let me pay.
So we eventually found a place to pay like $5 to park. It wasn't expensive. The tickets to Snug Harbor weren't expensive. I think maybe $10 or so. And like, it was a real cool vibe. It kind of felt like, if you're an art kid, I was somewhat of an art kid growing up, in drama class and creative writing and stuff like that. Some of my electives and some of my after school programs, it had a real art kid vibe. Like, bands were performing, but then they were also like in the crowd supporting the bands that were performing.
Yes,
and it's like a real kind of like community-based type of vibe to it.
Yes, it was like an indoor/outdoor feel.
Yeah, everybody was just like getting on stage, taking 10-15 minutes to set up their own equipment, and then they start their jam, and they jam for like 15 to 30 minutes, and then the next 15-30, like, then you take it off. It was late. Like, it started at 10, which is not we're such not we're
old.
Yeah, we're not club night out people. We never have been. So I want to say it got to like 1:30ish, and then Karen was just like, "I'm tired, baby," and I was like, "It's fine, we can go."
Yeah, I did. My body was like, I was like, I don't think I'll make it too much longer.
Yeah, so probably all those slushies or whatever.
Oh, them slushies was outstanding. They had some Jack Daniel's slushies, child. They had a blue one and a red one. Both of them were delicious. I was drinking them bitches up, and I had a apple cider. They were absolutely delicious. I'm not even gonna lie. They were good. And what was also funny is when you walk up to do, he asks you, did you buy tickets? You show them the thing, and then you show them your ID, and then they stamp your hand. And it was the cutest stamp. It was like a circle stamp. I read the stamp. The stamp said, "Please and thank you." I was like, oh, that's adorable.
No, it was a cool vibe, man. It was real laid back, and it's not the kind of thing I normally do. Not just mostly just because that's not normally the type of music I listen to. But I listened to Shonali, I think that's how you say it, Shonali's music all week when I went to on my walks and stuff, so that I knew some of the new album and stuff. And so she performed, or they, I guess is their band, her band performed. They performed the album basically, and they went last, so that was the one where we had to, Karen got tired. But I knew like a lot of the songs and stuff, and I was enjoying the vibe of that. I felt bad for Shalewa because it was such a interest, like, as a place to perform comedy it was such a like weird mix because it was like music, like she did the intro to get everybody like, hey, we starting the show, everybody come, a few people come in, because I think we're not cool, we're show up early type of people to shit like this.
Yes, we are.
But cool people probably stroll in a little late. So like the first band went, and they were good. The eyebrows. They were good, and they once they started playing, people come in and they hang out. Then like 15-minute break, and while the other band sets up, and the next band that performed was Family Video. And they had like a cool rainbow guitar on stage, like saxophone.
I enjoyed everybody. I really enjoyed them. I was like, oh, y'all putting on a show.
Yeah, they were good. The lead singer lost his glasses fell off and a lens popped out. He was going that hard.
Yes, he was.
And he just looked like some like regular ass Rick Moranis ass dude. Like
Didn't he know?
Like he was in the crowd chilling, and then he got on stage and was just like going ham. And I was like running up on shit on the side. I was like, oh damn, they putting on a show. So they were good. So after they get done, there's still like another 15-20 minutes to set up for Shalani. And that's when Shalewa comes to do like say 10-15 minutes, but it's such a weird vibe because it's not like they had comedians going up between each band, which then kind of prepares the audience for like, oh, it's gonna be some comedy. So like people are ready to head outside, but then like they head outside for like 10 minutes, then you hear Shalewa, and so then they come back in a little bit. You see people like leaning in, like, is the band back? Oh no, okay, hold on. And then like some people are just like chilling, talking in the back. Some people are doing whatever. I was mostly impressed with her ability to like stay in the moment and not, because I would have got up there, done every bit that I had already written or done stand up or whatever. Just like I would have just stuck to like, here's my 10 minutes and these are the jokes you're gonna get.
She's a veteran,
but she's such a vet. She's like at one point she like stopped the crowd and made everybody was looking at these women that were so involved in their own conversation,
right? And
she's just like got everybody's attention until they could kind of feel the eyes of the audience on them, and they turned around and was like, oh, we sorry. And she's like, no, I was just wondering what's going on. And they was like, oh, we having a bachelorette party. Oh no, we having it was something like a potluck and bachelorette party or something, something weird like that. And they were trying to figure out who was bringing what. It was just funny because that's like a vet move that I would not have done. I would have just got up there, bombed the whole 10 minutes, and been like, "Fuck these niggas, they wasn't paying attention. It's not my fault." But like, she really tried to salvage that crowd that was there for music and like kind of there for like, oh, they was like, if some stand up happens. Sure.
Yes.
If it breaks out, fine.
Right.
But they weren't there for the stand up for a lot of those people. But she still like soldiered through that shit and made it funny and salvaged something out of it. I was very impressed.
Yeah, kudos to her. She was hilarious. I had a great time up way past my bedtime. It was a dude on the outside cooking a steak burrito that was actually really good.
Yeah, Karen had a street steak burrito.
I did. He was speaking Spanish. I was like, oh, I know this shit gonna be good.
Yeah, my stomach was hurting a little bit, so I didn't eat anything at that time. But I tasted like a bite, and I was like, this is good, So if I would have been hungry or my stomach wouldn't have hurt, I would have ate one. But yeah, it was a good time, man. It was fun. Everybody was so weird in the good way.
In the good way.
I added like bands to my Spotify to go check out.
Too.
And it was funny too because like outside people were just hanging out talking. It felt like everybody almost knew each other.
Yes.
Which is just crazy. And then watching just groups of people go to different places on Central Avenue, it felt like no group of people was going to with the same people. Like,
no.
Like, there were two types of groups. There was the groups that looked like they have a job where they work together and each person is like just there because like this is a work outing. I remember I even went to a work outing to a place over there one time with my coworkers, and that's how we looked. Like none of us, it was like after work, none of us was dressed like we hung out with each other. None of us had our hair like we hung out. It's just a group of random motherfuckers. Or you had these, what I would call affinity groups. And I don't just mean racial affinity. Like there were groups where it's like, oh, it's 7 black people. And I wonder which club they're headed to. Cause I don't, each club.
Yeah. Cause it was a whole little strip.
But there was also like goth girls. Like I remember seeing like 4 girls that looked like they just worked at Hot Topic or they got all their clothes from Hot Topic.
Yes.
And they wasn't all the same race. Like it was like I'm like what's going on over here? Y'all about to go film the Craft reboot or what?
Right.
And so it was just cool seeing stuff like that because I mean I always talk about our city and how it I think when people think of the South they think of certain stereotypes and I'm like, well, that's not Charlotte.
Right.
It might not be like the most hippiest place, but it's a pretty progressive place and diverse place.
Yes.
And it has its little hippie enclaves that flourish, and that's what Central Avenue area is, and that was fun to be over there.
It really was, and child, it happened to be overall night, and they didn't tell nobody because our club was like 5 dudes in overalls.
They look like they just do that.
They look like we wear overalls. We overalls is you open up our closet, you gonna see us in some goddamn overalls.
That's what I was saying to Shalay. I was like, so do you think they coordinate the overalls? Like we all coming in overalls today, wear your overalls, or is it like they show up at the party and they be like, oh damn, you wore the overalls today too? I was gonna wear those. Fashion faux pas.
Yeah.
Look like we'll both be walking around in overalls all night at the party.
right. And some of was setting up and some of was like the DJ in the back. I was like, oh, y'all working. That will be the official uniform or something. What's happening?
Yeah. Anything else for your banter?
All
right, cool. There's a thing going on Film Critic Twitter, which is part of my algorithm now. I see a lot. And film critics are mad, and I can't really blame them for being upset about this. It's movie studios are doing these, typically you have a screening and you used to invite critics.
Yes.
And they get the movie early, they write their reviews, and word of mouth gets out.
Yeah,
through the
you
reviews.
do embargoes and all that stuff, yes.
Well, now they're doing the screenings. Sometimes they invite critics, sometimes they don't. But when they invite the critics, there is an embargo. You can't say for however many days.
Right.
But they're also now inviting social media influencers.
Yeah.
And the social media influencers don't have an embargo for the most part. So they can come out and say whatever they want to about the movie right away. And a lot of times it's going to be overwhelmingly positive because either they're not film critics in that way and they're really just talking about the vibe and the fun and the access. I've seen it with some of my own friends where I'm like, oh wow, she was at the premiere and and of course this person is a fan and they have there's other behind the scenes contracts and stuff that you sign with certain companies. There's companies you want to continue to work with, so you want to stay more positive than negative.
Yes.
Whereas critics are supposed to not be under any obligation to that. And so obviously what people think is they're doing this so that when a movie is bad, people see the word of mouth from the influencer and they go see the movie anyway because the influencer won't have the critical lens that a movie critic would have.
I understand that, yeah. Because they was like, hey, dog, like, if you're going to put embargo on us, put embargo on them bitches too. Nobody talks about it until the same day. Don't have them out there and allowing them to go out there and speak, but yet you tie our hands and tell us we can't put ours out for X amount of days. It's not fair and it's not right.
So I was thinking about it and a couple things at play here. The first being a lot of faith in criticism has eroded too because critic has become also a big catch-all title with many organizations and also heavily involved in social media. So a lot of what people do as critics is designed to go viral, is designed to be flat, and it kind of lowered the discourse to where the internet is, where it's a lot of hot takes and bombastic statements and lists and things to argue over. Not saying it was never like that, but it's more like that than anything now. I feel like the fine line between just regular fan / moviegoer and film critic is much lower than it used to be.
Agreed.
And there's also peer pressure and grouping up in criticism. Like there's a cool kids club of criticism. There's things you're supposed to like, things you're not supposed to like. You know, there's that kind of thing. And now what's supposed to happen is with critics, you're supposed to be able to have a discourse where we disagree, but if you have your reasons, I have my reasons, and this is part of the job, we shouldn't be taking it personal.
Right.
Which is not necessarily in practice. I think is critics do it much better than influencers and social media pundits and stuff.
Yeah, but they still have their issues. Yes,
but yeah,
I agree.
So I think that's one. Critics have kind of lowered their own brand so that they're not the be all end all of shit. And a lot of them ended up really rooting for movies more than just reviewing movies.
I agree.
There's a lot of like box office as the stock market type of conversation with critics these
Versus,
days.
is it good or not?
You know, they don't want certain movies to make money, and they get upset about those movies making money. And then there's other movies that don't make money, and they get upset that they didn't make money and all this stuff. And so I think part of this is also their ego feeling encroached upon. Like, we're the tastemakers. We're the ones who tell people what to watch. And your guys are fucking it up because you're just going because you got a free swag bag from Marvel and you're saying you had a good time, but that movie wasn't good or whatever, right? Okay. The second part of it, though, I was thinking, I think the studios are kind of in a rock and a hard place because they created these streaming services. And the streaming services, you have to put your movies on there not ASAP but pretty fast because there's no value in these streaming services otherwise.
Nope.
There's no real original content on a lot of these streaming services, and when they do go out of their way to create original content, one, it costs way too much fucking money. They never make the money back, and then they end up canceling the shit.
Yes.
So you know, so it's like really hard to just keep dumping buckets of money when you're not making buckets of money off of these streaming services because you shouldn't really have it.
Right. You should have kept everything on Netflix. I hate to be like that, but that is the truth.
Right. So I think the incentive, like people keep saying like, man, I'm not going to the movies because in 3 weeks this shit will be streaming, and they're right. They have, and it's not bad movies, it's hit movies too.
Hit movies,
like movies that did well. Twister did well at the box office and was streaming 3 weeks later. Twisters. So like, it's not just a matter of the movie. Like, so this is a new reality that the studios are dealing with. A movie's in the theater 3 to 4 weeks, and for a lot of movies that aren't major blockbusters with lots of investment. So I think they looked out into the world and said, bro, we gave film critics a chance. When our movies are great, when they're good, when they're just worth watching, a film critic does not resonate with the movie going audience the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Where like maybe they look at the aggregate of like a Rotten Tomatoes, but I don't know people who cite film critics like we. It's not
like they used to.
Yeah.
Now.
So I think what the studios decided was, you know what, influencers do have fans that will listen to them, and we only have 3 to 4 weeks
to get people.
They're trying to create a moment. They want to create FOMO because that's the only reason I think people go to the theaters for the most part these days, is the idea of, I don't want to miss out on this experience that we're all having, such as Barbenheimer.
Yeah, about to say Barbie Oppenheimer. I think because during the pandemic, or I think like right around the pandemic time, so basically they really couldn't do their traditional promotion, and you had, not trying funny, about 2.5 pushing on 3 years of a lot of these studios putting a lot of these movies in their quote unquote flopping because people aren't going to the movies because they didn't want to catch COVID.
Yeah.
And I think that these studios learned from that. It was like, oh, so the way to make the money and the way to get people to go see it isn't a traditional go to the critics. It's if we can get something online popping, we can get people to go see it. Sometimes, not trying to funny, without doing as much promotion. This is almost like a free promotion, because when you have an influencer that has 1 million, 2 million, however many followers, you can instantly get this out to the masses of people. Not trying to funny, a lot of people don't have traditional cable. So a lot of the traditional ways that they don't listen to radio, they don't listen to a lot of the traditional ways of the promotion that they pour all this money into. Like people like me and you, we got cable and all these other things, so we're going to see it and they're going to catch us. But if you're talking to like a younger generation, social media, online, TikToks, YouTube, like this is the way to get that crowd into the theaters and to reach them where they otherwise would, depend on the situation, would have flat ignored whatever this movie was. So it makes sense. But from the critics' perspective, I get their perspective too. They was like, hey, nobody has a thing then. When we watch it, we ought to be able to go out and talk about it too. Don't tie our necks, and they're able to go out here and talk about it freely.
Yeah, I think critics kind of resent the lack of influence over the years, but I think that was organic and was happening whether this new influencer shit happened or not. Critics kind of lost the connection to the general movie going public a while ago.
Yes.
Like just something being critically praised, I'm not saying it means nothing, but it's not what it used to be. Mm-hmm. And like now it's just people slamming the Rotten Tomato score in your face, which is not the same as like listen to what critics are saying about this. It's just very much like it's an 89%, and then that's just a number.
Right. And also I think for me too, like you say, and we've talked about it, and also being critics, that disconnect is serious because you will have movies that the critics get to watch at like Sundance and all these festivals that sometimes the general public don't get to watch.
Yeah.
And they praise these movies, and then these movies go out to the theater and flop. But those are the ones that a lot of times win those awards, and the general public's like, the fuck, 8 people seen that movie. The fuck is this?
Well, also with those movies, and this is why, I see the fight happening online, and we're movie critics ourselves, but I see the fight happening online, and I'm like, yeah, some of this is ego and jealousy though, and being upset about your lack of influence, because the Cannes Film Festival used to have, and they still do it, where it's like Jonathan Majors' movie got a 27-minute standing ovation or whatever, and all I could think to myself is, that is y'all being influenced and happy about your access to these movies.
Yes.
Because that doesn't even fucking make sense that anyone would stand for 10 minutes clapping at it's a fucking movie. You're about to interview the guy or director or whatever. Just have them like it. So it turned into something else where that was even being promotion. Not to mention, the comments from critics are always being used as promotion in films, but now it's like comments from influencers are used in promotions, and people don't like that shit. Well, critics don't like that shit. But I will say this, as always with critics, one of the main things I don't like about the way critics talk and is too much of the way they talk disrespects the audience, as if the audience is fucking just stupid.
Yes,
and
I agree.
A lot of this stuff is them saying stuff like, well, influencers are doing this. Yeah, if someone is following an influencer on social media, they know they're an influencer.
Yes, they do.
No one on the earth is left that doesn't know
Nobody's
how it works.
tricked.
Like, no one's like, wow, they let my girl who reviews Marvel movies go to the Marvel movie, even though she's not a critic, and she got pictures with the cast, and she's dressed in a Marvel outfit. I didn't go, man, I gotta say, did not see it coming that she enjoyed it. Like it's just like, I just think they treat people like they're dumb. They do the same thing with the audiences when like a movie doesn't do well. It's like the audience is dumb. When a movie does well, the audience is dumb for watching those movies. It's like it's too much animosity between them and the people that they're supposed to be doing this job for, allegedly,
right. And the thing is that movie critics do serve a purpose, because, and just like I think music critics serve a purpose, because there's a lot of technical things and things like that they know, like, because it's their expertise. So they serve a purpose, but at the same time, you kind of need both, and that's kind of the problem. Everybody wants to exclude the other group, and more the critics want to basically kick them out, versus them going, okay, we kind of are on the same path. We cover the same things. We just do it differently. It's like they can't accept that, because accepting that would quote unquote mean defeat. Because, you know, a lot of these people argue with people all the time online. It would mean defeat. It would mean letting go of your power. It would mean a changing of guards, a changing of hands. And, you know, you don't have the
What do you mean? The critics feeling that?
yes.
I mean, but they have a job to do. I don't begrudge them that at all. Like, they should not want it to change power and change hands. And they are better equipped to do the job when they do it right. I know a lot of critics that operate with integrity, and I feel like their opinion is their opinion, and if they have some bombastic opinions, that's part of it, because we all have them.
Agreed.
And they call them balls and strikes, and it's not just about access and influence, but
agreed.
Yeah, it's just not really a neat thing. I just have noticed this conflict brewing for like a couple years now, and I just wanted to add that other motivation, which is I could just see film studios doing it, not even caring about whether it's good or bad reviews. Like, you can't really avoid bad reviews.
No.
Like, eventually people will see Borderlands got nothing but shitty reviews. And the influencer can't trick anybody on that.
Nope.
But I do think stuff being in the theater shorter gives a impetus to the studio to create a viral moment immediately. Like, we have to make this an experience you don't want to miss. We're not gonna get you with, oh, it's getting great reviews. We gotta be like, if you don't see this shit in 3, you ain't gonna know what anybody's talking about. And I think influencers can make things feel that way. All that being said, I don't think you can create a Barbenheimer. It's got to be organic.
Yeah, that has to be organic.
Yeah, all the influencers in the world cannot create this online thing that you want. You know, it's like anything else. Influencers can't create something that people don't want and make it work. They can only do, like, if people want it and influencers are doing it, then it'll, you know, it's like it's a relationship that actually works in reverse, that I think people think work. Like, influencers lead the pack, and I'm like, I don't think so. I think a lot of influencers, you pay attention to them, they're very good at following right behind the moment and making you feel like they created the moment, but really it's like, no, I'm 1 second behind the internet taking over this trend or this topic. And so being the first influencer helps a lot. But influencers, for the most part, are just copy and paste. You know, look at all the comedians doing crowd work on TikTok. Like, it's not what people think. They're not. And of course, only a fucking studio or some rich person only they would be dumb enough to think we can create a viral Borderlands moment. It's like, no, you can't. Your movie fucking sucks. Everyone sees that it sucks. The 2-day head start of some influencers saying, hey man, I had a great time, look at the popcorn bucket, is not gonna do shit when Thursday hits and Friday hits and then the embargo's lifted, and every critic and every Rotten Tomato store and every regular person that went to see your shit is gonna be like, it was trash. Yeah. So you can't trick the system.
Yeah, and okay. Now, what you said makes sense. They're actually doing this because they're, like you said, they're trying to get around the system. It's like they want to mimic social media, but they don't understand a lot of that social media stuff. Like you said, is organic. It just happens, and it's just shit that you don't know what's gonna hit and what's not gonna hit. You can't recreate it and you can't duplicate it. But they always want to come in and try to manipulate it, and everything has to be a strategy. Everything has to be a number thing. Everything has to be a calculation. Everything has to turn into a profit or loss, when some shit just kind of happens and they come in and they want to particularly shit that they think is going to be something. They want to come in and do that and then turn around and be like, we throw billions of dollars. It didn't work. Yes, because you can't do it. Everything doesn't require money. Some shit just happens.
Yeah, these kind of hits are just going to have to be organic. Everything, everywhere, all at once just hit organically.
It was a word of mouth thing.
And it wasn't because of the critics, and it wasn't because of the influencers. It was just like people went to see a movie and said, this shit is really good. And then other people trusted those people and kept going, and just it kept making money. And you know, Get Out, same thing. Yeah. Like, I don't think there's a way you're not going to get ahead of this. Either the movie's good and people go see it or not. And you definitely not going to make a shit movie into an event. We saw them try to do that with Morbius. where they tried to make it into like an online thing, and online people were lying and acting like they were going to go see it. They put it back in theaters, and it never made any money.
They was stupid enough to put that shit back. I was like, if it didn't happen the first time, bitch, what you think people gonna show up again for?
Right. So, all right, let's get into some other stuff. Let's see. Play some music so we can get back to this. How about this?
Psycho music.
That joint had some different elements to it. Good Life by Psycho Music. All right, let's get into the news. I'll start with some of these Trump news. Get this out the way.
Okay.
The fuck he was talking about. Oh, that's why, because I ain't got it saved. All right, let's see. Trump news. What this nigga did. Oh man. So motherfucking I think it was like CNN.
Mm-hmm.
They do this thing after the DNC. They always do these things. They bring on undecided voters. And so we got to give the platform to the dumbest motherfuckers in the world.
Nobody's undecided. I do not believe people. I don't mean no harm.
Yeah.
I do not believe there's nobody that's fucking undecided. No, you have made a decision. You're just saying this shit for fucking attention. I do not believe nobody when they said they're undecided. Bitch, you know who you vote for. You're not voting at all. I was right about something.
Karen be knowing, Karen be knowing.
I was right about something.
And happy belated birthday to Psycho Music. He said yesterday was his birthday.
Baby.
Bring back Trump. CNN undecided voter panelist has pro-Trump social media history. A man, black man, introduced as undecided voter during the CNN segment following Kamala Harris' speech on day 4, has a history of supporting MAGA online. His name is Bryant Rosado. When asked to grade Kamala Harris' speech, gave it a C, while other 7 panelists rated it an A or B. When asked to explain his grade, he said she wasn't clear enough on policies. She did speak a lot of her personal history, which was great, but I still don't feel like she's ready. I feel like more so she should wait. I don't want to personally vote for someone that is a backup. He then confirmed he wasn't ready to vote for her. Moments later, he raised his hand, indicating he was ready to make a commitment. When asked, he stated he is now going to vote for Trump.
Of course.
Her speech was great. I like how she went into personal history again. It was not moving for me, but it made the person Tuckman or whatever, the person interviewing, but it made you think that Trump's a better candidate than her. He's here for it. He's a little bit more aggressive. She's aggressive in her way. I think she'll be aggressive in the next term. So Trump over Harris for you. And so he went ahead and said that, and it turns out that he was pro-Trump. He's also said that CNN knew.
Makes sense. Like I said, there's no undecided voters. I do not believe that y'all be finding diamonds in the rough. Not in this country. You have made a decision a long time ago.
Now the thing that's messed up is I obviously doubt his credibility as much as I, at this point, probably doubt CNN's credibility. So he's saying they knew. Maybe they knew, maybe they didn't. They clearly did no research. They didn't vet them.
No, they did not.
And leaning into, take a drink, everybody. But my time on Game Theory, when I was filming some of these things, and some of these things with the man on the street or the panel of people, you have to kind of vet those people. Mm-hmm. It's not completely random. You go find, there's a list of people that have been suggested. You look through the list, you see who's available. Sometimes you pay the people money to get for their time and stuff. Sometimes you don't. But the point is, when we do a panel and it's like 5 conservatives versus 5 liberals, like that shit is not just random. So someone looked through this list and decided he should be put on the undecided list. And of course, you go through his social media as recently as yesterday. Apparently, he retweeted Trump's mugshot with election interference never surrender DonaldJTrump.com. So he retweeted Donald Trump. He retweeted Elon Musk, who retweeted Donald Trump and said next level, basically in election interference.
Child, they did the same vetting that the Trump camp did on this man. What is happening here? They just got a name. It was like, okay, because you sound like you didn't do no digging.
Well, I take it a step further, Karen, because that's what my point was. They do know. You don't just put them on TV.
Yeah, okay.
I think
yes. He's on TV. Yes.
I think CNN put him on TV knowing he was pro-Trump.
I think so.
And going, this will be good TV. And I think this kind of exposes the whole game that is afoot. Because they always do this with Democrats.
Yes.
They always bring on the undecideds, and the undecideds never make any sense. And then they always kind of lean towards the conservative no matter what. And as you've said for years, and you just said today, they're just people that want to vote for Trump or vote Republican, and they just, maybe they don't want to be loud about it or whatever, but that's the only reason they're there is to go, I don't know, it's 50-50 for me. Well, the Democrats just gave everybody a blowjob and $50. I'm leaning towards Trump. Like that, like it's just that way for them. Mm-hmm. And so I think at this point, this is more proof to me that the CNN's complicit in it.
Yes. Yeah, I've always thought that, because it used to always make me angry seeing this, because like you say, it's something they consistently do, and pay attention, y'all. The closer it gets to the election, the more and more they're going to find these randos. They're going to have a whole board of them. And it always happens around it, particularly the presidential election. They're going to have a room full of people. They're going to put microphones in their faces. And they're going to sit there and be like, how can you explain, why do you feel like this? Or why are you undecided? Like, these people are not fucking undecided. They have to cover news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is just some bullshit to fill time.
It makes good TV. Because this shit did go viral. I saw people on social media sharing the original clip before they knew that the guy was pro-Trump already. And that's why they do it. Because you're not going to share a clip of undecided voters coming out for Kamala Harris's speech and 100% of them going, yeah, Kamala Harris, she should be the president.
Right.
No one's going to be upset. That shit's not going to work. But if you show, especially this black man sitting up there going, yeah, I think it's Trump, after this black woman just spoke, it's gonna get more attention.
And it also hits the narrative that has really been pissing me off, particularly when it comes to black and brown people, particularly black men. For some reason, black men, they love to target black men, like black men as a total is fucking going to just be like, I'm voting for Trump. That shit is not gonna happen. If it's a half a percentage, black men, 99.99%, like black women, vote Democrat. You have a very small percentage of black, but they always cover this every election cycle to act like this half of a percentage of black men represents all black men, and they don't. And so this right here fits the narrative. Here's a black man, y'all, that's undecided. Bitch, fuck y'all. Like, this shit don't make no sense. Where did y'all find this nigga?
Yeah. And like, honestly, I guess I probably should have put this in a different segment. I didn't even think about it at the time, but it's probably less Trump news and more
fucking with black people. Fucking with black people. Fucking with black people. Fucking with black people.
Then Jermaine Dupri went viral on social media. He was taking one of his walks and doing some, I guess, social media, Instagram living or something, which he does during his walk sometimes.
Okay.
And He was musing about Kamala Harris. He said, real quick, I want to talk about the DNC. I feel like the DNC has been going amazing, but I also feel like tonight Kamala Harris has a pretty difficult job, right? And it's interesting because the Republican correspondent that's been doing the roundup after the DNC has ended every night, he asked a question that I kind of asked Kamala when we had our second meeting. You know, the fact that she's in office right now, she's in the White House right now. And the guy said, what makes y'all believe she's going to get this stuff done if she becomes president, if she's already in the White House? And it's a tricky question because I asked Kamala basically the same thing, right? In so many words, I asked her as the vice president why they don't let her talk when Biden seems like he needed someone to speak up for him. I thought that's what the role of the vice president was, to help the president. Check out so then he got fried on social media,
right? Because that.
What I find interesting, and I don't know if people keep noticing this or not, but a lot of these people who are complaining have met with Kamala Harris when she was VP before she was the nominee. And at the same time, people go, where was she? Why isn't she doing anything? What is she doing for the community? And she's been meeting with people this whole fucking time. Amanda Seals is so far down on the list of like top people that I think a vice president should talk to. She was meeting motherfuckers like that. Jermaine Dupri, while being honest, also low on the list. Like, the fact that she was even talking to these people says she was out there putting boots on the ground, trying to see what people wanted. But yeah, anyway, it's just interesting. He says basically she kind of let me know that her hands were tied, that they didn't really allow her to be a voice like that in that space. And tonight I want to see if she even touches on this, because if she don't touch on that, that's the question I feel like the people that have mixed decisions about voting for her, this is one of the questions. This is the top question they have. Like I said, this is what the Republicans are saying. Why he's listening to Republicans, I don't know. Why he's listening to them every night after the DNC. What channel are you watching?
Right. Fox.
They never heard the part about her hands being tied. If she says something about her hands being tied, it makes it look like the White House or the Democratic Party didn't really want her to exceed. I think he meant succeed. So she can't really say her hands was tied, but she does have to step into that space. This is something I do believe.
She's the vice president. She's not the president. And the president is the president. You know what I'm saying? Her job is to support, not speak for him, not take over his job, because she's the vice president. And what be killing me...
Sorry, go ahead.
And what be killing me is just the fact that I personally think because she's a woman, you put all these stupid ass expectations. Nobody asks what the fuck anybody else's vice president was doing, because they were men. Nobody asked what they were doing. Nobody asked where they were at. Nobody asked why didn't they speak up for the president. You didn't demand that they do all this bullshit.
Well, I just think it's like a lot of these questions with guys like this, and in this case, my understanding is that Jermaine Dupri was asking these questions genuinely, that it wasn't a bad faith troll where he was like trying to be a secret Republican or secretly got a check from Trump to try to erode enthusiasm. So taking that off the table, and taking him at his word.
Okay.
I think the problem with him, and it's not just him, it's a lot of people like this. It triggers all of us because we know bad faith actors who talk like this, and they're really just anti-Democrats or whatever,
and it makes you mad, and
they act like, oh, I just got some questions, but they don't.
Right,
okay.
You're wasting time.
Okay, so that's why it bothers us so much.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you had a friend or somebody they really didn't know, and they asked you a question like this. I don't mean to be offensive to Jermaine Dupri, but just because it's your first time really thinking about this does not mean this is news for us. Right.
So that's true.
You claim to be talking for a group of people, and maybe you are, but I would highly doubt. I think you're couching this group of people for your ignorance. You have a question that you would like answered, or a thing you like her to say, and you put it out to the internet, Just like the girl in the shorts at the fucking job interview.
Once you put it out in the internet, it's the wild, wild west. It morphs into whatever the fuck it morphs into.
Like if a homie texted me this, I would not fry him.
Right.
I would be like, oh, he really don't know. So, hey, so this is why being vice president is different. You don't fucking come out and run ahead of your president. So if they do that, it's normally very calculated, such as Joe Biden being pro marriage equality as a float out there to see if, like, you know, if it was gonna be okay for Barack to do that. So I just think that he doesn't really know. And of course, right now, because everybody likes Kamala Harris and they like the idea of her, they was on his ass. Now, many of the people were making jokes and clowning him, but others gave him full, long paragraphs of like, this is how it works. You can't pass a bill without congressional support, especially bills that need budgets. Like, you can't, because you can't get the funding for it. You can't just presidential decree every fucking thing, because it's easy for the next president to reverse it. And also, they've done that before with certain things, and the Supreme Court has overturned it.
Yes.
Once again, we follow this every day. I come on this show. I tell y'all what I know, what I've learned. So our listeners and me and Karen are a little bit more informed. This just happens all the time. Guys like Jermaine Dupri, I think. Now, I don't know. He could really just be an op, but
I don't think
he's an op. I really just think he hadn't really thought about this and then just threw it out there like it was deep. And everybody's not playing games right now, so he got fucking obliterated.
Right. It's not trying to be funny. It's not like it was before, I think. And also, like you said, it's one of those things where for a lot of people that are well informed, they're kind of informed. Like, they ain't got to be 100% informed, but they are informed enough where they be like, hey, nigga, I lost the right to abortion in my state.
Yeah.
I can't do IVF. Ain't nobody got time for your fucking questions. Like, a lot of people are like, we don't have time for the bullshit, and they don't want to have the conversation that actually needs to be had, because they're like,
it's not their responsibility to have the conversation, and often these guys don't take it in because you're saying it on social media and you're getting thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of comments towards you. You're not going to really be able to facilitate a conversation there. Roland Martin apparently had him on Instagram Live last night at 6, and they talked about it in front of people. They had talked on the phone about it already. So clearly there was some I didn't watch it. I haven't heard much about it, but I imagine it went pretty well, being that I didn't hear anything about it, because if it would have went bad,
it went viral.
And they talked on the phone first and then decided to bring the conversation to the public, which is another reason I think it probably went well. He has now officially endorsed Kamala Harris and has responded to fans who claim she's not black. He began by responding to a commenter who said she was not black. He said, she's a person of color, all right? So let's just say that. People of color, to get in the position that she's in now is no easy feat. It's not something that America thought they'd ever fucking see. Y'all ain't got to say she's black. She's a person of color, brown, tan, whatever the fuck y'all want to call it. That saying she's not black, whatever that is, she's a person of color. And, you know, like I know, you motherfuckers ain't never thought that you see nobody, person of color, woman, in a position to become the president of the United States. The hate she has to deal with being a person of color. Y'all want her also to be a vice president, to do the shit that vice presidents ain't never ever did. Y'all fucking tripping. He went on to add that he didn't think Harris should be elected because she's a person of color, but because she's the best candidate. So he's endorsed her now. I don't know if this was because of the backlash,
or somebody actually really sat down and was like, hey, dog, let's have a real conversation offline so I can kind of explain to you what's happening.
Well, also my understanding is that he's, at least from what I was hearing, he's never been like a conservative or Republican, which is, so it's like that's why a lot of people was kind of surprised. This is also what happens when you taking a walk and you just hit the IG live, because the endorphins and shit be flowing in your brain. You like, the world need to hear this, and it's like, not really. Go home, take a shower, sit down for an hour, think about it.
Decompress.
And you probably won't even want to say that shit no more.
You won't.
But it was just interesting that he decided to jump out there with that bullshit. That's that all my Trump news. I think so. I mean, I saw that video of JD Vance trying to order a fucking donut. That was crazy. God damn, man. What is wrong with him?
Terrible.
Y'all seen this shit? JD Vance and the fucking donut? This dude, how did you pick this guy? Like,
how did you pick him?
Can y'all, like, what is vetting exactly?
That's a great question. What is vetting?
Yeah, I was so skeeved out by this shit. This is worse than his policies, honestly. It's like, it's only 45 seconds of video. We talked about it a bit on Three Guys On yesterday, but here's this fucking video.
The zoo is coming to town. Thank you for letting us come in here.
Huh?
We can't see it if you're trying to show us.
Oh, it's showing the mosque. Oh, okay. Give me a second, guys. It says stop share. All right, let's try again. Anything?
We see it now.
Okay, that was very weird because it's showing on my screen that it's sharing it twice now. But anyway, so he goes, oh, and y'all might get an echo. Let me make sure you won't get. So he goes to this donut shop. Now they're supposed to send an advance team in to prepare people for this. Like, you're supposed to send in like some people and make sure everybody, it's a photo op basically. It's fake. You don't want somebody there that's like, I don't want to be on camera, or hey man, Kamala Harris is my aunt. Fuck this nigga. Like, you want people that are at least gonna serve him the donut and he can get a photo op and maybe even shake his hand or something. Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like they must not have done that. So he just went in there raw dog, I guess. The other problem is C-SPAN and reporters are in there. So you don't even control the footage, so that if this goes wrong, you could be like, let's not put that cut out.
Oh, so you didn't just come in there with just your people and
it's C-SPAN right down there in the bottom right corner.
No!
I'm sure that his people recorded this, but we'll never see that shit because they were like, that went terrible. Don't put that out. But
and C-SPAN was like, we got it.
Right.
What the fuck y'all invite C-SPAN?
I was like, you know how we get down. We for the people. No commercials, no editing, no nothing. You're going to get this raw footage.
You get it like we see it.
So he steps towards the counter with his hands on his hips.
The zoo has come to town. Thank you for letting us come in here.
The zoo has come to town. Thank you for letting us come in here. I think he's trying to say to the actual person behind the counter, like, oh, all these cameras and whatever the like Trump rally or whatever the fuck they're doing today. Supposed to be like a real hunky-dory moment of like, oh man, oh shucks, sorry about all these people. Ha ha ha.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
She says, I don't want to be on film.
Which means she did not. She probably walked back there because it was like, okay, time to serve a customer. The fuck are these cameras doing here?
Didn't vet any of this shit.
Right.
Meanwhile, you look around, there are so many cameras in there, so many people in there for this dumbass photo shoot.
Right.
Okay, yeah. She doesn't want to be on film, guys, so just cut her out of anything. Appreciate that, man. I'll give you dance and work for Vice President. Let's see it.
Okay.
That was that sent me. Like, that was you sending a drink to a girl across the bar and her being like, oh, okay. It's like, hey, I'll check you out across the bar. You look you look amazing tonight. I was just wondering, you want to, hey, my name's Rod. Okay. All right.
Yeah, they may or may not know who you are.
Right. Well, I think
by now
she
they
just like
might know who you are.
The donuts and get out.
Yes.
Okay.
She said, too long, didn't read. I'm happy for you or support you or whatever.
How many donuts do you want?
Right. So then he tries to do a little more small talk with another guy, but you can tell by this guy's face already. He's looking at him like, man, just order the donuts, bro.
He looked like, I would not be voting for you, sir.
Right. So he asked the next guy, he's doing crowd work at this point. Hey, where you from? Like, how long you been working here?
I've been here since the beginning of July.
Okay.
For this year.
Okay. Good.
How is he this unrelatable?
Don't know how to do small talk, can't talk to people.
I wonder this a lot, and this does happen with certain politicians, especially those that generationally are just very wealthy and shit. Some of them just haven't had normal jobs and upbringings.
Right.
And so how I would come into any place that serves food to the public, having had several jobs that serve food where I serve food to the public,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of could do better small talk than this. But if you don't see these people as human equals, voters,
Yeah, they just know
actual
to serve
three-dimensional
you.
folks, I think you don't even know what to say. Because how long you been working here? 4 years. Okay. Like you have nothing to say. You can't even be like, oh, I used to work at a place like I made. Oh, you know what he should have said, and clearly they don't have anybody over there. Ask them a question like, "What's the best donut? What should I get?
What's good here?"
Something like give them something to say. There's nothing to say. How long you been working here? 4 years. Okay. All right. Let me ask you. What about you, sir? Have you been working here long?
What's the local favorite? Anything.
Right. You guys come here often? Oh, probably every day because y'all work here. Okay.
How about you, sir?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, good. Just everything. Yeah, I mean, a lot of glazed here, some sprinkle stuff, some of these cinnamon rolls. Just
Now, honestly, y'all, I hate to be this shallow. I really do. Because I know I'm supposed to hate him for his policies and just being a horrible human being. But when I tell you the way he ordered the donuts, it made me madder.
Yes, it did.
It honestly made me madder than him wanting to ban abortion. Nah, that's not right. It shouldn't be that way.
No, right?
But I have to be honest on this microphone and tell y'all the reflexive anger in my gut of like, this nigga can't order donuts.
You don't. It's, you know what? I bet you if you ask him how do you order donuts, he don't even know it's 12.
What is he saying?
He ain't be like 4 glazed, 2 sprinkles.
Now look, I'm throwing on a limb here. Maybe it's because, and maybe it's just I might like donuts too much. Like
right? That might be my problem.
Maybe it's people out here that can't relate to what I'm about to say. But I would imagine everybody can relate to what the fuck I'm about to say. It's just the way I see life. If you're about to go to the donut place and you about to get 12 donuts, the way my brain turns into a beautiful mind to get the most variety, but at the best quality, and especially when you have to start involving other people, because he's not gonna eat 12 donuts.
No,
it's gonna be for the staff and the other people. But there's like a logic to it. The only way that you just order 12 of the same donuts for me is if I'm ordering them for the office, and fuck them niggas. They getting glazed.
Everybody getting glazed.
Everybody getting the basic shit, because y'all, I don't want to pay for this and I don't care about y'all. But if I'm just ordering, even if it's just me and Karen, I'm like, in my brain, I'm already like, okay, so you're going to probably need like 2 of each.
Mm-hmm.
She need this, and this.
Yeah, I'm a lemon field.
I could get half a strawberry. You know what I mean? And then if one of y'all go off the cuff and try to do something different, like give me one of them brand donuts. It's like, oh, you just fucked up the equation. You know we don't fuck with brand donuts.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? So now I got
Why you being special today?
So now we only gonna have 1 lemon cream and 1 custard. That's fucking up the math. We supposed to get 2 of one of those.
Right.
I'm not getting you a matching donut because you threw your brand donut in the mix.
Right.
Don't think I'm gonna get a brand donut so we going 1 for 1. No, nigga, that one's all yours.
Right. You decided to get the Reese's Pieces cup donut. You better hope that bitch is good.
Right. So it's just, I'm so disgusted that this man ordered this donut this way. Either you just don't go in there because you never eat donuts and you're like, I don't eat donuts, they're not good for you. Or you know how to order a dozen donuts. What the fuck is this?
just everything. Yeah, I mean, a lot of glazed here, some sprinkle stuff, some of these cinnamon rolls. Just
like, does he think that looks cool that
Some
he don't care?
Rolls.
He's like, I'm so cool, guys. I'm such a cool character. I don't even really care what goes in the donuts. Have you looked at the American voting constituent? Nigga, we love donuts.
Yes,
a lot, too much, more than any other country.
We actually do.
You know how relatable it would have been if he just leaned down over them donuts and was like, nah, give me the second one from the back. That actually would have gained some votes.
I'd be like, that right there. We love donuts so much. We even fried a hole. We was like, no donut, no part of this donut should be left behind.
Exactly.
And on top of that, he said just whatever makes sense. You know what you should have told them? I want a dozen donuts. I'll let dealer's choice. Y'all decide. You would have been better doing better saying like let them decide than you actually making the decision.
Everything's better than what he decided to say.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Almost everything. Yeah, I mean, a lot of glazed here, some sprinkle stuff, some of these cinnamon rolls, just whatever makes sense. Always put.
If I worked out, as soon as he said, yeah, a lot of glaze, sprinkle stuff, so whatever makes sense, I would be like, you fuck couches, don't you? Why do you want these donuts? You gonna fuck the donut, man? You gonna fuck the holes out the donut? The donuts come with holes in them. I know what you're doing, you freaking motherfucker. Because only a serial killer owns donuts like that. What are you doing?
No numbers.
Around.
About 4 years.
About 4 years. Okay. How long have you been here?
A little over 6 months.
Okay, good.
Oh, you fucking weirdo. Anyway, that's Trump news.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, can we cover the Tim Walsh one?
All right, give me a second.
No problem.
Tim Walsh went to I wish I knew the name of the place.
I don't remember the name of the place.
But he did a similar thing. It's it's almost not worth covering just because he's so fucking normal. It was so like good energy. I'm only showing this in juxtaposition to this fucking
right.
This is actually not very newsworthy what I'm about to show y'all. This is what a normal nice person looks like going into a restaurant for a photo
We
op.
really came just to go to runs, and then we did a little rally on the side, but we had a little extra time.
We don't
If you don't know,
Well, I want it. Okay, it's showing me it's sharing on my screen, then it's not. Give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
It should be showing now. Still nothing. Son of a bitch. All right, let's see. Try something.
Okay, I see it now.
Oh,
and then it went away.
Delay. Damn. All right. Well, maybe I just need to wait a second. And
no
y'all,
problem.
Y'all let me know when it comes on screen. I think there's a bit of a delay today.
No problem, baby.
Okay, so it should be showing now, right?
We see it now.
All right, so he comes in and they've clearly vetted the place.
Okay, now it's like on the third screen versus big.
Um,
It's like split between me, you, and the screen.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. If I hit focus solo, what does this do? It's just moving slow, guy. I can't. It's not respond. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. All right.
There you go. It's big.
So all right. So this is him coming in. They clearly vetted the place and did an advanced team because you're not sending for security reasons and others photo op reasons. You're not just sending him in there and everybody's got on a fucking Trump hat. That wouldn't make sense. But
right.
So he comes in.
we really came just to go to runs, and then we did a little rally on the side, but we had a little extra time.
Immediately got behind the counter, shaking his hand. Amazing. Knows who he is. Very excited about it.
Mic'd up. Guess what? CNN went in there. They actually filmed. They was like, our people gonna cut this and film this to do a photo op.
Well, because it went well, we're seeing it.
Yes.
If it would have went terrible like JD Vance, we wouldn't have seen it because C-SPAN probably isn't in here.
Agreed.
If you don't know, the iconic Nebraska restaurant is the Runza. Don't call it anything else except a Runza. The bread consistency, all of it really matters. I got the Swiss and mushroom is kind of a classic. The cheese is solid. You can be a little bit creative.
The back with him and everything.
Right. And there's another video where it's not as edited. It's like the raw video from like other people. And yeah, it's just normal. Just cool. Oh, they went to another restaurant. This was from C-SPAN. This is Kamala and Tim Walsh ordering food. Nothing weird happening. Anyway, it's not. This should not be news. I wouldn't have shared that other than just Tim Walsh is a fucking weirdo.
Ain't he weird though?
Let's see. How long have we been going? Oh, hour 12 already. All right. You know what? Let's move into something else. I'm sure there's other news I wanted to talk about. We kind of already did some fucking with black people, for being honest. But you know what? I don't want to do fucking with black people. Let's do something else. Black capitalism, guess the race. Oh no, I remember. All right, guys. It's been a while since we did this segment, but
okay.
It's time to do some gender wars.
There's a war going on outside. Gender war. There's a war going on outside. Gender war.
Oh, let me put us back on the screen. Shit, that's my bad.
No problem.
I don't know what's happening
It's like a
today.
little delay.
Give me 1 second to evenly split the stage, and it may take like 30 seconds before it shows that it's split again.
Ain't no problem.
Pull everyone in the wing to the stage. See if that helps. Yeah, it's gonna be trip when people get this on YouTube and the shit look like this.
They're gonna be like, "What happened?" Because we normally on the side. There you go.
It's just a big ass delay, guys. I did it, but it just takes a while. And now it's gonna be another delay because I need to show y'all the video.
No problem.
So gender wars, of course, is when we talk about different relationship type content that goes viral on social media. It normally ends up with a lot of people arguing over it and deciding who's right and who's wrong. We try to come at it with a different angle where we're not really calling balls or strikes on like who's wrong to do what or say what or whatever. We try to get to a place where we are judging the content on like, is this good content that will get people fighting and arguing? Like, those are the values that we're going. And there's been a guy who's been pretty good at that lately, and it's Cam Newton.
Okay. I don't really know what happened, but I've just been seeing him trending.
Cam Newton had a video with Brittany Renner a long time ago.
I remember
where she like schooled him about his double standards of misogyny about his daughter versus how he tries to womanize and stuff. And that video went out and went viral, and I was like, that's interesting that he decided to put that out. He also has a video where he's not in it, but it's the woman he's currently dating and who I believe is like a comedian and got pregnant by him and had the baby. But she was being interviewed about her relationship, and she was talking about how she tries to anticipate all his needs and all this stuff, basically mothering him. Like, cause he's one of those like Nick Cannon, I'm a king type of dudes. So those videos went viral, and I mostly thought about how once we watch this video, you'll see he had a great chance to make a great entry into the sports media talk landscape, because when he first entered, he had that game manager versus game changer conversation on this podcast that went super viral. It was very sports. He was the perfect person to deliver it. A lot of people were sharing it. It drove media. Like ESPN was talking about him in that clip. That's how much he was out ahead leading the charge. And ever since then, he has done nothing. He got in a fight that was viral. Like he's done nothing but just kind of like fumble that ball and just refuse to pick it up. Just like, and so this is another in a long line, I think now, months long, of just like not basketball, not football, not
sports,
and kind of makes you look bad. So I guess he's talking to this therapist woman,
and a lot of that, not just funny, a lot of that is that shit goes viral, that shit gets clicks, a lot of that griping and all that stuff, that stuff goes crazy, and so a lot of people, they mimic that type of stuff.
I think in these clips he just comes across as not that smart outside of football.
Okay.
He's had issues with misogyny in the past. I still remember how he talked to that woman reporter about being surprised she knew how to what routes and terminology was. That was a big deal. So like, I just think he has huge glaring issues with women, and when men like this end up speaking in public about relationships and women, it just jumps right the fuck out. And I don't think it's by design, or even I don't even think he understands why it's so controversial to go viral. Because if he really understood, he wouldn't have. When you see this clip, you'll see he wouldn't have done it this way, where he's the one that looks stupid. He wouldn't have put that Brittany Renner clip out where he looks stupid. He thinks those things he's saying are smart. So here's the clip.
A lot of people see my situation and not think that I'm not high functioning.
What situation?
Okay, so I'm not married. I have beautiful children.
How many?
8.
By how
8.
many women?
3. And this is the kicker. I want more.
By multiple women? What's the intent
I
of
just
this?
want
Or
God
by
to
your
bring
wife?
him. I just want God to bring him.
Oh, okay.
Him looking up in the sky, talking about, I just want God to bring him. It's very Nick Cannon-ish.
Mm-hmm.
It also makes it seem as if he has no role in this.
Right.
Like he's not,
like he don't have a
actively
choice or a decision.
making decisions. It's really good content in that way because it makes people immediately see the hypocrisy and get upset.
Mm-hmm.
So like that, I mean, right now, just even the start of this setup, it's already 10 out of 10. I don't even know how you gonna, like, this is some of the best gender war shit I've ever seen. I mean, he does have a gift. I don't think he means to have
He
this
stumbles
gift,
into it, yeah.
but he just got the gift of saying, because like most people don't want to look too foolish in these things, and their ego's gonna stop them, and they want to be considered right.
Right.
And there'll be some men who defend Cam Newton and say he's right, but there are also men that have glaring issues with women. The vast majority of people are gonna look at this clip and go, Cam, what the fuck are you talking about? The other thing I noticed in the setup, because this is a clip, right? Obviously, they talk more, but he's talking about high functioning versus low functioning, high vibrational, low vibrational. That's also a very gender wars ass concept, which is like
Kevin Samuel type of shit, ain't it?
Yeah. Like it's instead of calling something ghetto or trash or whatever, you would say it's low functioning or low vibrational.
Oh,
people say that. I remember it went viral about this woman eating a plate of food at a barbecue, and she's like, "Look at your plate, this is low vibrational." So like, I think already this is a problematic setup, pitting these like, I'm very high functioning, even though you would look at my situation and think 8 children, 3 baby mamas, not really with any of the women, and dipping in and out of the kids' lives. You would think that that's low vibrational, but I'm such a cool person that it's not. It's different for me.
Desire to get married is lower than my fear of divorce. So, as you had said, Dr. Brian, you said it, I didn't say it, I will agree. I'm just taking my time.
You're not taking your time.
I am.
This nigga. That right now. Yes. Mwah! Magnificent, sir.
It's 10 out of 10.
Come on, Willy Wonka.
How do you not get upset when he does that lean back and tries to throw her words in her face?
Dr. Brian, you said it, I didn't say it, I will agree. I'm just taking my time.
You're not taking your time.
I am, though.
You're being very action-based. You're not taking your time.
I'm taking my time.
You're being very action-based. You have 8 kids with 3 different women.
Yes.
You are creating, procreating, and multiplying. That is not taking your time. You're being very selective.
Her chain says Dr. Brian on it. You know what? That's another reason it's good content, because she's clearly influencing and drawing certain, she wants the eyes drawn to her. She got the cleavage cleaved up, the dress is dressing, the chain is chaining. Like
they both in it to win it.
Yeah, they both, you know what? You don't see generational talent like this often when it comes to gender wars.
Not in the same room together, no. Normally you have like somebody that's a superstar and then somebody that's like average or below average.
Or just with a lot of the content, no one's famous.
Right.
It's just 2 people arguing in a car. This is elite level stuff. They got the podcast mics out.
It is.
They got the camera that's clearly been edited to make the quick cuts.
Top notch makeup, hair.
This is really good. This is real good.
Actively active. Okay. So you're creating, in disclaimer, the kids are innocent. They are beautiful and amazing. Anything I say has nothing to do with them babies. But you are proactively choosing where you want to be active at and where you want to take your time. You want to take your time in having a wife because of your own fears. But you will, and I say this with all respect and love, what I'm about to say next, okay, Cam? But you will selfishly create broken families, even if you're in their life and you're a proactive father, and I believe you're an amazing daddy. I can only imagine with just your presence and knowing you. But these families are still broken. Every child.
Now, this is another reason this is great content, because she's clearly going to be right compared to Cam. Cam's so wrong, it's almost hard to fuck it up.
Right.
But the kind of people that are going to see this on social media are going to reflexively react to the idea that she said broken families. People don't like that term, they're like, you can't say a family's broken just because a man isn't in it. And they really of two minds. Like, no one wants to get into the weeds of like, so are we saying what Nick Cannon and Cam Newton are doing is fine, and those families are all fine, and we shouldn't even think about that?
Right.
No judgment passed for anybody involved. Cool.
Right.
Or are we saying, nah, it's a bit irresponsible, and you're playing fast and loose, and you're actually not going to be able to have infinite amounts of kids in infinite amounts of houses, and not be and just call yourself a great father just off a GP. How much time are you even being able to spend with all these kids?
Right. And a lot of the people that are fussing and complaining are not trying to funny. Some of the results of people doing that.
Yeah.
And they grew up with these quote unquote daddies being
what
everywhere.
they heard was your family is broken, and they heard broken as bad as not just a descriptive term of like, it's if she would have said non-traditional or something like that, but she doesn't mean non-traditional. She wants pejorative language around this so that he will feel properly shamed, but also because it will trigger that viral response. Yes. And I saw people who were saying she shouldn't be calling these families broken, completely losing the plot of what she's saying about him in general. So I thought, once again, these are superstar level talents.
Come on.
It's
just branches of virality coming off of this.
Child cannot have Papa in the house with them. So some child, if not all will end up with some kind of deficit without daddy being there. Mm-hmm. Now, you chose to do that. I'm not saying you sat there and woke up one morning and said, I want to be selfish today, so I'm going to go make a baby. Not saying that at all. But those are selfish acts at the expense of your fear. And yeah, that is a low functioning behavior to say that I'm going to build these houses and put kids and these beautiful women and kids in them, but I ain't going to create a home in them. I'm going to wait till I dissipate my fear to find a wife where I'm still going to be fearful with, because there's no such thing as not having some type of nerve or some type of feeling behind marrying somebody. And then I'm going to build a home with her while all these other beautiful babies have houses. That's completely unfair and that's selfish. And so, yes, you're taking your time in this department, but you're not taking your time in this department, which means you're compartmentalizing. And compartmentalizing never works. Compartmentalizing hurts everybody involved. Everybody who's in this box and that box and this box and that box and this box. And then here you go over here trying to figure out what box you're going to feed or entertain or do. Then you're looking outside to figure out who's your next victim to put in the box.
That's another reason this clip is good. I didn't even realize till I watched it this time. He never interrupts her when she does her thing, which is important because normally
they guys, like to over talk and don't let them get their complete thought out.
Yeah, right? And they start thinking that the interrupting, which obviously will draw the eye to someone having a conflict where they're cutting each other off. A lot of podcasts do that, but sorry, this screen is driving me crazy.
No problem.
Let me see if I can get back to evenly split the fade.
I know it's slow,
but
but slow.
Yeah, okay, it's getting there. It's almost there.
No problem.
But yeah, so it's kind of interesting because that will cause a lot of people's instinct is we need to be arguing, going back and forth, yelling at each other. But actually, her soliloquy, reading him for filth without being interrupted, made it go more viral.
I 100% agree.
So anyway, so what would you rate this 0 to 10 on the scale?
I'm not even gonna lie, this right here is a 10. This is one of the rare times I'm gonna give it a 10, and the biggest reason is the production. Not trying funny, you had lights, it's not filmed on no iPhone. Mm-hmm. And y'all know that tone and things like this, but in certain things, tone is we need to be loud. But this one, the tone needed to be low because of the setting. Not trying funny. So everybody understood the correct tone.
Yeah, everyone was dressed nice.
Right. And so it's almost like they balance each other out. You didn't have one person, quote unquote, outshining or overperforming the other person.
Right.
Everybody had their time to actually, here's your time, now go. Yes. And Cam was like, do you know, hey, with the smile and, and all that stuff. And she was like, okay, my turn. And like you say, guess what? When he was talking, she didn't interrupt him. So when he was talking, he didn't interrupt her. And so if the whole point is to get people talking, both sides actually perform magnificently as far as fueling the fire on both sides. So it's a rarity that somebody gets this high, because most of the time they are average or below average, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And this right here, so I can see something like this having the staying power where it'll fade away, but if something else pops up with Cam or with the other person, this is gonna come back up again.
I worry that this was well. Actually, let me refresh it. All right, so I think I should be back on the screen.
You are.
You should have your sound back. If you're in the chat, let me know if you still can't hear.
All right.
But yeah, so I think it's a 10 out of 10. I think this may be the greatest one we've ever done.
I agree.
It like I said, it's not. I don't think there's a lot of room to disagree with what she's saying in spirit. You could quibble over the the words and the new, like she could have said it better or whatever the fuck. And that's for y'all to get into and fight about. I don't really give a fuck. I do think what people like Future, Cam, and Nick Cannon do is very irresponsible. And I think it's very much rooted in a type of misogyny that is about ownership. And I don't think they're gonna unwork it in our lifetimes. They're all gonna die believing that shit. So I think there's points that to be made about that, but mostly as a fucking topic, fire. And it's perfect delivery, perfect people to deliver it. Cam being cocky but wrong as fuck.
Yes, and they both kind of had on their outfits.
That's what I said. Yeah, they were dressed perfectly.
Yeah.
I could not give this. This past Cheesecake Factory for me.
It does.
This past Cheesecake Factory was one of them ones.
Yes.
All right, let's get into sword ratchetness so we can wrap this thing up. Where's my sword ratchetness song? Oh, there we go. All right. A Sheldon man was arrested after sword threats. A 62-year-old Sheldon man was arrested at 8:25 p.m. Sunday, August 18th on charges of first offense domestic abuse, assault while displaying or using weapons, and interference with official acts, dangerous weapon. They arrested Hiram Wilson Meadows. It stemmed from him threatening his wife with a large sword during an argument. He told his wife he would cut off her arm if she called law enforcement. That's not gonna convince me to not call him. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'll call him quicker now.
You sound like I better call while I got an arm left.
Yes.
When law enforcement arrived, he came to the door with the sword and refused to drop it when given commands. He continued to refuse commands to drop it after a taser was used. Damn. Once he was disarmed, he continued to resist arrest. He was handcuffed after a few tasers deployed. What was the
He was on drugs.
Deployments and physical forces used. So
he was trapped.
But yeah, they got him. All right, that's it. We started late. It's 9:00 at night. I'm sorry to my man Lance. I know he wanted us to do some guest arrays. We got to save some stuff for later in the week, fam. We'll be back. Until next time, of course, as always, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah.
Through the fire.